So I was never a big fan of Tom Ford's fresh fragrances in the private blend collection. The only one that I had from the bluish colored bottles was the original Neroli Portofino, but never really got into the fragrances that came afterwards. I did have a few of the Aquas that were launched. One of them is Costa Azzurra Aqua, this one right here, which I really enjoy, and I also enjoy Mandarino de Amalfi Aqua as well, but I never really paid attention to those because I felt like they were overly priced for what you get, and you already can get fragrances that are similar that actually are better or perform better from brands or other designers that are even performing better. So I never really paid attention to them, but now we have Costa Azzurra in the the signature bottles at Tom Ford. So I decided to pick this up about a week ago. As soon as it was announced, I think it was announced, or it started appearing on websites on New Year's Eve, so I immediately ordered it, and I had a 2-day free shipping and something like that, so I got it, and I'm wearing it. But so I'm going to tell you my honest opinions about this one. As I said, this is something I bought, and I'm going to let you know exactly what I think about Tom Ford's Costa Azzurra, which used to be part of Private Blend, and now it's in the Signature collection. So if you want to find out about this, and also a little bit about this, as I see it's discontinued, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. That's right, today I'm talking about Tom Ford's Private Blend fragrance collection, fragrance Costa Azzurra, which is now in the Signature collection, and a little bit about Costa Azzurra Aqua. I'm going to tell you about this particular fragrance and talk a little bit about the Private Blend collection, and I'm noticing some discontinuations and things like that. So if you want to find out about this, stick around. But before I get to the fragrance review, if this is your first time tuning into my channel and you still haven't subscribed, please do click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. But before I talk about this particular fragrance, I do want to let you know that I'm noticing that there's a lot of discontinuations happening in the Signature, not in the Signature, but in the Private Blend collection of fragrances. And some of the decanters are no longer available if you're one of those people that buys the big 250 ml decanters. A lot of the fragrances are, no longer having the decanters, which is kind of a shame because some of those fragrances are good and it's a better value to get the decanters. This particular fragrance, I believe, is discontinued in the in the Private Blend collection. Now it's appearing here as a Signature fragrance. And personally, my first opinion about this fragrance is this was an unnecessary move over, For me, I felt like the fragrances that are great in this collection, well, there's only 3 in this particular bottle collection. Beau de Jour was great. I felt like Ombre Leather was amazing for this collection. It's a great fragrance for the price. And then, of course, Métallique was a brand new release that came out in this collection. So those are the only 3, I believe, that were or had launched up until this. And now we have Costa Azzurra. So this is a 2020 launch, but previously it was launched in 2014. The price is 100 ml for $184. The perfumer is Yann Vasnier. According to my research of the original, the Private Blend version, I'm assuming it's the same perfumer. And I'm also assuming it's the same fragrance because I never really got into the original Costa Azzurra in the blue bottle. And this is considered an aromatic woody fragrance. I would go to the extent of calling it a woody aquatic, aromatic aquatic. All of those come to mind with this particular style of this fragrance. And the notes for this one, according to Tom Ford's website, are sea air, fresh aromatic notes, evergreens, lemons, citruses, deep woody notes, cypress, oakwood, and aromatic woods. So those are what's credited on Tom Ford's website, and also a few of the websites that are selling this particular fragrance, and those websites are Nordstrom and Bergdorf Goodman's. So I got the notes from there. Fragrantica lists other notes as notes, but I wanted to go off of the exact notes. So what do I experience with this particular fragrance? I just want to say it's a very subdued experience. For me, the fragrance is not a screamer. That's the first thing I noticed right off the bat. It's not a fragrance that's projects very loudly, so it's a subtle wearing experience, and I feel like this can be perfect for this kind of a fragrance. In the end, it's a summer fragrance, it's a fresh fragrance, but when you look at the notes on Fragrantica, according to their notes, they're saying that there's like oud and things like that. So there are some deeper, woody, rich and dense notes that are in here. And the fragrance does wear like that. It wears dense. So for me, it's almost like a fight between fresh notes and the deep woods notes that are present in here. But it's a very, very subdued experience. So in other words, it's almost like a skin scent to me. It doesn't project much at all. Which, again, as I said, it doesn't really have to project, but sometimes I like my fragrances to be louder, and this doesn't play loud at all. It's a very subtle experience, and I experienced its richness. It's definitely richer than the Aqua version, which I am really into. I really do love the Aqua version, and I feel like this one has a little more projection than this one, even though this is a lighter version of this particular fragrance. It wears a lot fresher. This one does not really wear too fresh, even though it's a fresh fragrance, because of those deep woods and rich woods and dense woods that are mentioned in the base notes or whatever section of the fragrance they're in. It does act deeper and richer. As I said, it does act a lot thicker than this particular fragrance, but I experienced this fragrance a lot more projecting than this particular fragrance, even though it's a lot lighter, as I said. So for me, what's prominent here is there's a lot of greenness. It's a very, very green touch. The cypress note is very, very prominent. I love cypress in fragrances. In fact, I love cypress trees. And being from the Mediterranean, they're very, very prominent around the Mediterranean. And I love the way they look. And it definitely has that, Mediterranean kind of a smell. So it's kind of a camphoric, greenish, woody kind of a smell for me, and it's definitely prominent here. What I also get in here is lots of lemons. It's lemons or citruses together, but for me it's more about the lemons, so there's a very lemony experience. It's a nice contrast between the cypress note with the lemons. Now there's also this myrtle note that I'm picking up that the Fragrantica lists but not mentioned on the Tom Ford website. So there is something slightly minty, slightly licoricey green kind of a note in here, and I feel like it's very, very similar to Myrtle. Myrtle is a note that I'm familiar with. It's a plant that grows in the Mediterranean. My family actually had grown a bunch in our little rooftop patio when I lived in the Middle East, so I love the way this note smells. As I said, it's got this kind of like minty, licoricey, camphoric kind of a woody smell, which is really nice. It's definitely prominent here, and I pick it up with this particular fragrance, although it's not mentioned. There is an aquatic touch with this that's definitely prominent, and according to the Tom Ford website, it says a sea air. Fragrantica says it's seaweed. Whatever it is, they're using some kind of a note to give us this kind of an aquatic touch, which for me, I'm sensitive to those notes, and I pick it up right away as well. But it's the kind of aquatic touch that I'm tolerating. It definitely is prominent, but it works for me. It doesn't go fishy at all, which I like. With the Aqua version, on the other hand, the Aqua version, I feel like it's not so aquatic as much as this one. And because the notes are a lot denser in this particular fragrance, everything seems a lot more prominent. Even though the experience is very subdued for me, it's a very, very close to the skin experience. So that aquatic touch is definitely in here. And other than that, I feel like I pick up, green touches here and there, kind of like inspired by the foliage and the terroir of the Mediterranean and all those smells. I think it's a great inspiration for a fragrance, and sad that I hadn't really looked into it, even though now that I've gotten this particular fragrance, I feel like for me, this probably was a rushed fragrance for putting it in this bottle. I don't know what you guys think, but I think there are other fragrances in the collection that should have ended up in this signature collection way before this particular fragrance, because was it really popular to move it from there to here? Is that what they're doing? Is that what Tom Ford is doing when they're moving the fragrances, like when they came out with Beau de Jour exactly a year ago? Is that what they did? It was popular and they moved it here? Because when they launched Beau de Jour, it was the third it was the third Fougere fragrance that had came out within a year, and then obviously they then launched it in this particular fragrance. But it was out for a year, similar to Ombre Leather. It was out for a year, then it was like a year later, or maybe 2 years later, they came out with it in the signature line. This one actually has been out for 6 years, and now it's making it into this line. So it doesn't really make sense to me. I feel like it's not really well thought out. They have a lot of different fragrances, much better fragrances that I think would deserve to be in the signature collection than this particular fragrance. And that's my opinion on this. You guys might not think that, but I feel like, I mean, I don't know. This is not one of my favorite fragrances, even though it smells great, you know? I like the style. It's been done before. It's available everywhere, and I could definitely have used something different in this collection. Something a lot more deeper and richer, you know, for it to be a little more worth buying. As I said, this is a 100 ml bottle for $184, so it's up to you guys to decide if you want it or not. I'm happy with the scent, don't get me wrong, but I feel like, as I said, there are other scents that Tom Ford is discontinuing that they could have moved here. And probably, I mean, I was thinking Vanille Fatale. Vanille Fatale, I think, is still selling, but I think it's been discontinued from their decanter. But I feel like the Vanille Fatale could lean a little more feminine. Maybe this is a unisex fragrance, so that's probably what they're bringing in here to give it to us. Anyway, a little comparison of this one here. As I said, this one is a lot lighter. I feel like this one does scream a little bit more than the Eau de Parfum version, but it's a subtle. It's not subtle. It's subtle because it's a lighter version of this particular fragrance. This is an Eau de Toilette. I think it's an Eau de Toilette. I believe it's an Eau de Toilette. But this is an Eau de Toilette version of this, and it does wear lighter. But I feel like, as I said, it does scream a little louder than this one. I was expecting a lot more louder, a fragrance on me, but it is definitely a subdued experience. But the only other thing with this one is I believe it's discontinued. So if you are in the market for this particular version, get it now. I do recommend it, but I also recommend this particular one to only wear in the summertime because it is on the lighter side, even though it does scream a little louder than this. This one I feel like it's an all year-round fragrance because of its deepness and richness. But then again, it's such a skin scent for me. It's just so subdued. It doesn't scream at all. So those are my thoughts on this particular fragrance and fragrances from Tom Ford. And a little bit more, as I was saying, a lot of Tom Ford decanters are getting discontinued. Like Noir de Noir is no longer sold in a 250 ml decanter. Wonder what happened. I don't know if they're going to discontinue that fragrance. I don't know what's going to happen. But if you guys are, as I said, if you guys are, collectors of the decanters and you have the money, get yourself your backups or, get yourself your bottles now because as I see that they're kind of slowly disappearing and not available anymore. Anyway, thanks so much for watching today's video on Tom Ford's Costa Azzurra, the new 2020 Signature Collection launch after 6 years that it was in the Private Blend collection. Let me know what you think about this release. Are you a fan of this particular release? As you can see, I've worn quite a bit of it since I got it within a week because it goes down fast. It's very close to the skin. So that's kind of why you see that. But let me know if you're fans of this. Let me know if you were fans of it when it was in the Private Blend collection. Let me know if you're fans of the Aqua version of this. And also let me know what your thoughts are on what's going on over at Tom Ford's Private Blend collection with all its discontinuations and also its discontinuations of specific sizes. Anyway, guys, let me know if you have any questions or comments today. Other than that, thanks so much for watching. As I said, please do like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.